There is a war going on right now, not in the open, not on the battlefield, but in the deep darkness where power, corruption, and blood money collide. It's such a secret war that most people don't even realize it's being fought. Governments say they are fighting cartels, but what if the truth is more complex? What if, behind closed doors, the same hands that claim to be fighting the war on drugs are quietly promoting it? For decades, cartels have been portrayed as villains, ruthless, bloodthirsty organizations that smuggle drugs across borders, assassinate rivals, and bribe officials. But morality is blurry in this hidden world. Governments, intelligence agencies, and politicians have all dipped their toes in the same poisonous river of drug money. Every cartel raid, every drug bust, and every public statement about the war on drugs may be part of a larger deception. A covert war of influence, control, and survival. Let's start with Mexico, the epicenter of the shadow conflict. Officially, the Mexican government is locked in a deadly battle against the cartels. Thousands of soldiers patrol the cities, helicopters hover over villages, and the president vows to end the cartels for good. Yet somehow, cartels never die. They become stronger, more organized, more political. It's almost as if someone wants the war to go on forever. In 2016, shocking revelations emerged from Mexican court documents. High-ranking officials in the country's intelligence and police departments were secretly on the cartel payroll. Mexico's former drug czar, Genaro Garcia Luna, was arrested in the United States and accused of accepting millions from the Sinaloa cartel, the same cartel he was supposed to destroy. Think about it. The man who led the war against drugs was reportedly working for the world's biggest drug traffickers. But it does not end here. Across the border, in the United States, similar patterns emerge, hidden beneath layers of bureaucracy and secrecy. During the 1980s, the CIA was accused of turning a blind eye to drug trafficking operations that funded anti-communist movements in Latin America. The infamous Iran-Contra affair exposed how cocaine money and covert U.S. operations were interconnected. Officially, America was waging a war on drugs. Unofficially, it was sometimes using the same drug trade to finance its foreign wars. Behind every cartel war is a flow of cash, billions of dollars. But where does that money go once it has been laundered? The investigation revealed that global banks, including some of the world's largest, have quietly processed cartel money for years. HSBC was fined $1.9 billion in 2012 for allowing Mexican drug cartels to launder money through its accounts. Yet not a single top official went to jail. That is not a war. This is a business partnership hidden in the name of law enforcement. The deeper you look, the more disturbing it becomes. In Colombia, the government's decades-long war on the Medellin and Cali cartels was heavily funded by the United States. Billions of dollars are believed to have been poured into Plan Colombia to fight drug trafficking. But after years of bloodshed, cocaine production did not end, but increased. Power simply transferred from one group to another. Some cartels fell, others rose, and politicians called it progress. The story repeats itself in modern Mexico. The Sinaloa cartel, long considered untouchable, appears to operate with strange freedom compared to its rivals. When El Chapo was captured, his sons, the so-called Chaptos, quickly rebuilt the empire. Some insiders claim that the Sinaloa cartel's survival is not luck, it is strategy. By collaborating with certain elements within the government, they have ensured their dominance. In this secret war, alliances are temporary, and betrayal is a business move. However, it is the common people who are paying the price. Mexico's drug war has killed thousands of civilians since 2006. More than 400,000 lives have been lost. Journalists are silenced, activists disappear, and entire cities remain under cartel control. Governments declare victory after every major arrest, but nothing changes on the ground. The cartels recruit so fast that the soldiers are unable to stop them. Why? Because in poor areas, the cartel is often the only employer, the only authority, and the only law that matters, and governments know it. Many experts argue that the war on drugs is less about stopping drugs and more about controlling them. When a cartel becomes too powerful, it is crushed, not to end the drug trade, but to make room for another that is easier to manage. The system survives because it serves both parties. Governments get money, weapons, and political power. Cartels gain security, information, and access to international markets. Victim? People intervened. Consider the strange patterns of military operations. Whenever a government claims a big victory, seizes a ton of cocaine, or kills a cartel boss, prices on the street go up, not down. This means that the flow has not stopped. It's just moved. Someone else is taking control. In this hidden economy, drugs are just one side of the coin. The other side is power, which controls business, the police, and politicians. In recent years, a new phase of this secret war has started. Cartels have gone global. From Mexico to Africa, from Colombia to Europe, they have formed alliances with local gangs, rebel groups, and even terrorist organizations. Meanwhile, governments around the world use the drug war narrative to justify mass surveillance, stretched budgets, and foreign intervention. The battlefield is everywhere now, but the enemy is hard to see. In Guatemala and Honduras, politicians linked to drug money have been elected to high office. In Venezuela, parts of the military have been accused of smuggling cocaine through state-owned aircraft. In the Philippines, too, the so-called war on drugs turned into political assassinations and human rights abuses. Wherever you look, the same pattern emerges: corruption masquerading as justice. Despite all this, the public is kept in the dark. Media outlets report the arrests, but not the coalition. They show burning fields of coca plants, but not the politicians signing the conservation agreement. Every now and then, a whistleblower leaks information. A former DEA agent, a disillusioned soldier, or a journalist risking his life, and the truth leaks out for a moment before being buried again. The truth is that this is not a war between good and evil. It is a war between power and control. Cartels seek control over trade routes, money, and loyalty. Governments want control over the narrative, politics, and global influence. When their interests align, they cooperate. When they collide, they fight. And through it all, the cycle of violence continues. Funded by the same dirty money both sides pretend to hate. Some analysts call it a shadow pact. Others call it the world's biggest untold conspiracy. But whatever you call it, the result is the same. The drug war is not ending because it was never meant to end. It is too profitable, too useful, and too deeply woven into the systems that claim to oppose it. So the next time you see a news report about a drug bust or a government promising to crush the cartels, ask yourself, who is really winning this war? Frontline soldiers? Families living in fear? Or a few powerful people who thrive on chaos? Because behind the headlines and publicity, one truth remains. Cartels and governments are not always enemies. Sometimes they are participants in a secret war. A war that defines nations, destroys lives, and hides in plain sight. And as long as that coalition exists, the world will continue to believe it is witnessing a war on drugs, when in reality, it is witnessing a war disguised as a business empire.